Well, good afternoon. I want to welcome you to today's broadcast of the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network. And today we have a special guest as always, and I'll be introducing him when he comes on in just a minute. And what we're going to be talking about is the National Chimney Sweep Guild and some of the changes that they're going through at this time as they transition into what I'm going to call the new National Chimney Sweep Guild. So stick around with us. We're going to be back in just a minute and we'll get started with the show today. So appreciate you being here. Hang on, we'll be right back. So, good afternoon again. I see that that's with the music played and we did our intro. We've got people that are now coming on. And today's guest is a gentleman I've known for a couple years, and he said he operates, or excuse me, he is the vice president of the National Chimney Sweep Guild. He also owns a company in New Hampshire by the name of Black Moose. He is a practicing chimney sweep, has a really great company there in New Hampshire, and we'll get to him in just a minute. We'll find out a little bit about. His name is Matt Mayer. And like I said, known him for quite a few years, and he was recently elected as the vice president of the National Chimney Sweep Guild. So today we want to talk about some of the changes that the guild's gone through. So Matt, how you doing, brother? Glad to see you with me today.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure. We're doing okay here. It's kind of a hot day, and I'm just glad to be inside my office right now doing this and not outside. So.
Well, that's great, brother. And like I said, we're going through, and the reason for doing this broadcast today, which is also going to be the monthly webinar for the NCSG that'll come out, the recording of this will come out on NewsLink next month and be uploaded as our podcast, is we'll talk about the changes that the National Chimney Sweep Guild has been going through in the last few months. If you're on here with us, I want to welcome you to ask questions during this. Matt's going to give you his best hit and give you the answers. If he doesn't know the answers, I'm sure he will share that. He'll get back with you on that. So, Matt, let's give him a little background of how long you've been in business up there at Black Moose.
Yeah, I know not a lot of people know me. I actually kind of try to keep kind of a low profile. My wife and I started Black Moose in 2009. That's when we entered the industry, right after the big housing crash in '08. We started in the midst of a really bad recession, and business in the industry have been really good to us. We've had very careful, calculated growth since then. We are, what is that, our 12th year in business, which, boy, time flies.
Yes, it does. So let me ask you this. A couple of years ago, you decided to get involved and run for the board of directors for the National Guild, and I believe you're a regional director there. So what drove you to give time, because this does take a lot of time commitment from you, I'm sure. What was the driving force for you to get involved, to work with the industry, to represent and make the industry better?
Well, the industry's been this is a great industry. I've worked in a couple of different industries. You know, I'm educated in something completely different, irrelevant. This is a really cool industry. It's a great industry to be involved with. There aren't many places where you can call up your competition and borrow a tool, or I actually still need to actually bill one of my competition for a bucket of heat shield product they got from us recently. And I was just talking to another one just down the road there. I mean, that's a really special thing. The industry's been really great to my family and I. We've had very good success in it, and this is my chance to give back to an organization that I really enjoy, I love, and I appreciate.
Okay. Man, that's fantastic. And look at there, Dino Montanelli, he says, Matt's been a very helpful and responsive board member from my experience with them. Thanks a lot, Matt.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I try.
There's a good compliment for you. So, Matt, as you and I both know, most of the industry knows, the NCSG has went through a lot of change in the last 6 months this year. And one of the things that you've done is y'all have relocated and have secured the services of a management company out in Des Moines, Iowa. You know, this provides you strengths that you didn't have before, and it provides you a lot of tools that you didn't have before. What does this new management company bring to the table for NCSG, the industry, and for the membership of NCSG?
Yeah, Amplify's, man, I didn't know companies like Amplify existed before we got on board with them. And I forget whether they were a referral to us, or I forget exactly how we found them at this point. A lot's been happening over the last 6 months, but they're basically like the equivalent of a virtual office for a business. They're sort of a management company. They're a company that specializes in managing nonprofit organizations. Instead of having your own staff, you basically outsource that whole staff aspect to them. You get like a core group of people that work for you. We have Easton, Brittany, Casey's a newcomer, and I know I apologize, there's probably one or two that I'm forgetting there. So you get like a core group of dedicated people working out of that Amplify headquarters, working on your organization. But then in addition to that, I'm a mechanic, so I think of it like this, like a giant tool chest filled with every possible tool and the best ones that you could ever need. And you may only need that tool once every 2 years, but boy, when you need it, that's the right one for the job, and you're glad you spent the money on it. Well, Amplify is kind of like that. They're a giant tool chest. So in addition to that core group that you have this. I mean, they have dozens of employees out there. I think people specialize in financial stuff, graphic design, whatever you can think of. They've got that person, and when you need that person, they have it. It's a really good strength that we have through them, and that's kind of a neat thing that they bring.
Yeah, and with this, you've got a gentleman, and I really hope I pronounce his last name correctly. His name is Easton Kabushik, I believe is how you pronounce it. Maybe you can correct that if I'm wrong. But are you seeing that Easton has the right stuff, and he's the guy to help manage this association and take it to the level that your board is ascribing to go to?
Yeah, Easton is probably one of the most organized and disciplined managers that I've ever interacted with. And if you've ever, the NCSG board is made of roughly a dozen business owners, people who want to be involved with every little thing. And he's incredibly disciplined, incredibly organized. He keeps us on task. He's bought into the mission. He understands where we want to take this. And he's the guy, he's basically the implementer to make it all happen. I sort of want to get him, after he's through the new father stage of life, I want to get him up on some roofs and get him dropping liners and sweeping chimneys and give him a proper baptism by soot. But he is that integration manager personality that we need right now.
Great. And then you've also, like I said, you've got a lady there. Her name is Heather, I believe, that is leading your accreditation program that's highly experienced in getting certification programs. Brittany came over and stayed with the NCSG, was an employee of NCSG when you were based in Indianapolis, and she's still working with the Guild. So anyway, every time I see Tom Hunkel, the president of NCSG, making the statement as president, he's using the phrase that your mission is servicing those that service America's chimneys. So here's my question. How are you, and when I say you, the board of directors, the leadership of the Guild, planning to up the game as you move forward with what I'm going to call the new NCSG that you and the remainder of the leadership is working on out there? How, what's your plan? What are you going to be doing?
Yeah, we're going to be focusing a lot on member benefits. We are a lot more free now to kind of focus on our members, and you got to remember, we'll always be accountable to our members. We're an elected board, so we have to serve them, and we're going to be focusing more on education, trying to balance the national convention and the Chimney Expo, having more events locally. A lot of these hot events, these hands-on training events, are something that people have really been craving and yelling for over the past few years. How can we have more hands-on training? Well, we're doing that now. We're trying to make that happen for you guys. I don't want to forget, advocacy in the government affairs aspect of the National Guild has always been there. It's something that we're going to continue to focus on, and it's one of those underappreciated but very vital wings. Something that doesn't get a lot of publicity because it's not very glamorous, but advocacy is huge. We're trying to wrap up a couple projects right now that have taken several years, and we're just trying to fight and trying to keep our members' best interest in mind.
Yeah, and that's what I think a lot of people don't know, that, your association represents people to various aspects of the National Fire Protection Association, with representation on the 211, the 54, the 31 committees. You're also heavily involved working with safety regulations through the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Is those things coming along? Is that how part of what the mission is to stay on those tracks representing the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we need volunteers to sit on a lot of those committees right now. And the safety aspect, we're actually trying to wrap something up right now that we've been working on for several years. But we're going to continue plugging away at that.
Yeah. And probably the hottest topic of industry discussion involves the next one, because your leadership of the NCSG recognized there was really a void, that there was no present certifications for the industry were actually accredited, which was probably a shock to some of your leadership when they actually started finding this out. So now your association is working to get your CCP, Certified Chimney Professional Certification, which you purchased some months ago, and getting it certified by ANSI. Is this a really involved process? Can you share with the people listening to us what's the steps that have to be gone through to accomplish this accreditation under ANSI, Matt?
Yeah, I can give you a basic overview of it. I'm not a subject matter expert, but anything you need to know, I mean, I can definitely find out. It is a very financially involved and in terms of time commitment, a very involved, very time-heavy undertaking to have something accredited. In a nutshell, the process for doing it, basically, we have to study the industry. We're trying to gather a bunch of volunteers, dozens of volunteer companies, owners, employees, things like that, to sit in a few meetings where we're going to do basically an industry study. What is the basic core knowledge that we need to look for? What is the basic sort of plan blueprint that we need to follow? After we kind of get that kind of pool of things that we need to know, we start kind of looking at what we have, the test questions that we have, the current study materials. Okay, what do we have and what are we missing in terms of what we need? We try to make kind of a roadmap of where to go from there. And then we start putting all that stuff together. We kind of build that new test, build that new certification, and something that's going to be accepted by this accreditation agency. And then after that, we can finally launch the exam and start giving people the new test and that sort of thing.
Right. It's my understanding, Matt, that this is going to involve 3 different groups of what we would call subject matter experts. And subject matter experts, and correct me again if I'm wrong, are people that work in the field. They're not people in a leadership position. They're not instructors. In fact, since you sit on the board of directors, I don't believe you're even qualified to be a subject matter expert, are you?
No.
Yeah. And the same thing for me. I can't be a subject matter expert because I've trained for many, many years. And that's not what this program's all about. It's all about getting the feelings from people that work in the industry of what should a skilled technician need to know. And so there's like a 3-step process. It's going to take 3 different groups, and it takes 15 people in each group to put together what is the basis for this certification. From that point, you've got to come up with testing, and then there's got to be a test writing by subject matters. And then even after that, even after you've got this developed, there's an ongoing challenge in that you have to submit and have your results of testing analyzed by what's called a psychometrician that's going to study the data each and every year of what goes on. So testing may change as you find out. Test questions may have to be rewritten and other things. It's a pretty involved process, isn't it?
Yeah, and if they change their standards at any time too, you have to make sure that your program complies with those new standards. So you may need to make changes or adjustments in it.
That's it. So Matt, is the Guild looking for volunteers to step up to the plate to be these subject matter experts?
Yes, please. I, as a board member, can't do it. I mean, I'm a sweep. I sweep chimneys, I fix pellet stoves, all that stuff. But I'm not qualified, in their eyes to do it. They're looking for the boots on the ground. They want the guys going out there and doing this day in and day out who know what you need to know to do this job. And we need a few dozen people to make this happen. Company owners, employees, whoever it is, if you're involved with the industry and you can commit a couple days of your time, reach out, office@ncsg.org. We'd love to talk to you and set up a time to make this happen. But you have to actually physically be able to go to a place and do that. It's a big need that we have right now.
Yeah. Someone just posted, if it wasn't on my son's first birthday, I'd be there. Hopefully you guys get plenty of people. Well, let me make you aware of this. This is only the first meeting. We're going to need 2 more groups of subject matter experts, correct, Matt?
Correct. Yeah, there's going to be more than one group. So
right.
Celebrate your son's birthday, but if you still want to get involved, please do. We could use the help. We really could.
Yeah. So send an email to office@ncsg.org. Tell them that you can't participate in the first one because you've got another commitment, but I'm sure that they would love to have you on these follow-up subject matter meetings. Now, Matt says he just posted, I'll call you later on, Matt, so someone you know that can serve in this capacity. But let's do this. When they serve as a subject matter expert, it is going to involve some travel to go to these meetings. But is the guild going to pick up the cost for their travel, their lodging, those types of things, Matt?
Yeah, it's going to be similar to, similar to traveling for any board meeting. I mean, we as board members, I don't personally do it, but if you sit on the board, you have the option of submitting your expenses, having the guild reimburse you for hotel rooms, things like that. Things that should be paid for like that. But yeah, your travel expenses, hotel, things like that are going to be reimbursed.
Right. Now, one thing about this, that they're not really looking for all these people to have 40 years of experience. Naturally, they would love to have some people with 40 years of experience. And let's put this further. They're also not looking for all of these people to be your traditional technician, which is male. There's a lot of females in this industry that could serve very well. Would you agree with that, Matt?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's a lot of openings. And as Matt mentioned earlier, you may have an employee that contribute to this. And in fact, Matt and I were talking about this, that he has an employee that works for him. And we were talking if that employee would be someone that could be qualified. And I thought certainly he needs to apply if it does. So it's going to take a little time. But here's something, and I saw Brandy Biswell post this earlier today. You can look back later if you participate in this process, and you can know that you had a way that you actually helped things to go on. So Matt, it's more than just doing the basic the subject matter. It's an ongoing process, because the test results, my understanding again, is going to have to be analyzed and submitted to ANSI on a regular basis to make sure that this testing is factual and shows what real life skilled tradesmen are, not what Matt considers them to be and not what Jerry considers them to be, but rather it's what does the subject matter group come up as, what are the requirements of this?
Yeah, well, it's not unlike maintaining any credential, whether it's CCP, CSIA, fire, any of those. I mean, you need to do recurring training or recurring testing in order to make sure that you're current and up to date. I mean, that's why it exists. Right.
Now, another thing, Matt, was that the NCSG recently, y'all just released a new logo. Well, as part of your rebranding, can you tell us what the thought processes are on the rebranding? Because you still got the traditional sweep with the umbrella there as we have for years. So what was the thought in the rebranding?
You're dealing with, there's groups of people who want to see traditional, there's groups of people that want to see, toss the traditional out and let's go completely modern and mainstream. We wanted to find a good balance between everybody. We wanted to honor our past, where we've been, the origins of the NCSG, and we wanted to make it more streamlined in something that's going to support the newer certification levels that we have and the professional and the reliner and such. We wanted to take the old logo and kind of, like I said, honor that past, but bring it into kind of the next phase of our being as an organization.
Okay. So also, what does it take to be a board member, Matt? Because like I said, you're going to be on that board for a certain number of years and you'll be moving off. I was on that board for many years. So, maybe we got somebody listening that could be a future leader here. What's required to sit in a seat like you do as a board member? Now, I know the last 6 months have probably been the most active you've ever had since you've been on the board, but as a rule, what's required of a board member?
Desire to help, desire to want to throw your hat in. Coming from any sort of volunteer organization needs people to actually throw their hat in, like Cub Scouts. I mean, I had a few kids in Cub Scouts at one point, and boy, everybody loves the program. They all want their kids to be in it. They all want to take advantage of it. But when it comes time to volunteer, you get crickets. If you love this industry and you want to see it continue to move forward, in this organization, see it continue to move forward, you need to volunteer. I mean, throw your hat in. Just the desire to help is probably the number one thing that you need to have. You need to be willing to travel once or twice a year, whether it's out to Des Moines, Iowa, or the national convention. You need to be able to show up to some of the regional events if you can. We're all busy. I mean, we all have businesses to run. We're all busy. I have 6 kids and a wife at home too. Family life. But you need to be able to find time to do it and travel. The Guild. I mean, if you need to be reimbursed for your travel expenses, the Guild will do that. But like I said before, most importantly is the desire to want to throw your hat in and see something that you love continue.
Yeah. So another question. Y'all have purchased CCP, which also meant y'all now own the CCP show, which is held in Valley Forge. What's the plans for the CCP show going forward, Matt? What's going to be, is this show, will this show continue and go forth, or is it over with? What's the deal with the CCP show?
Oh no, we're good. That's going to continue. That's a great show. Obviously we have the national convention on one hand, and we've got the CCP show on the other. So we have two events that we need to juggle now. They're both going to continue. We don't want to make major changes to them. They both have their feel and their culture, and what's going to happen. Kind of the current thinking is the national convention. What is the national convention. Took place in Norfolk a couple years ago. That show, that's been to Orlando, all kinds of different places. That's going to continue to bounce around the country like it should. We're going to hit the different regions like we should, and then the expo will continue to happen in the Valley Forge area, King of Prussia area every year. Now, in those years where the national convention bounces to the Northeast, then we're going to have one show. We'll hold off on one of them and just have the one show there, because it'd be silly to have expo and then 2 weeks later have, I don't know, something happen up in Connecticut or something like that. That's kind of impractical. But we're going to try to find a nice balancing act between the two of them, and where they overlap, we'll hold the one show, and then we'll go back to having 2. So there will always be a show in the Northeast, just because we have the CCP show there. We'll continue to do the national convention in different locations.
Yeah. Next year's national convention, where is it? Las Vegas?
It's in Las Vegas. Yeah, my wife and I are actually already making plans about what we want to go see and do.
So let me ask you, are you going to fly to that one, or you drive? I know you're not a big flying fan. You plan on driving to Las Vegas?
No, we're driving. We're just trying to figure out how and what that looks like. I'd rather just drive. Thank you very much.
I know. So you think you're going to take that motorhome on that cross-country trip then?
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. And then my pickup truck gets like 3 times the mileage. So I don't know. Maybe we'll be one of those. So. Yeah.
Okay. So here's a good compliment for you. This is by Tom Hunkel, who's the president. Matt just posted, Matt's a terrific board member. His insight and leadership and commitment to the industry is unmatched. So I hope that makes you feel pretty good. But Tom's doing a super job,
That's a long drive.
Yeah. Somebody just posted, that's a long drive, Matt. If you're going to go, if you're going from New Hampshire all the way. But I know you did drove to Des Moines for the recent board meeting, didn't you?
I did. I have a bit of a disease. I like to drive everywhere. That's kind of a thing. So, but I did. I drove to Des Moines. I just broke it up into 2 different days.
Yeah, that's it. So I know how you are. That's why I asked the question. I know that getting on airplanes is not your thing, and wouldn't surprise me. You may ride a motorcycle out there, but I don't know if your wife's going to be crazy about sitting on the motorcycle that long.
Oh, yeah, that's not going to happen. No.
Not going to happen. Okay.
Not happening.
Well, Matt, is there anything else you would share with our listeners about what the NCSG is doing? And if they're not a member of NCSG, why should they be?
We want to build something that serves, and we want to focus on serving our membership. We want to build a better mousetrap, basically. It's kind of the same, like a lot of business owners, you'll look at a situation, you'll see a void or a need, some way that you can differentiate yourself and be different. We see that. We want to build an educational platform and an educational system that is different and member focused. We want to give you accessible tools to build your business and kind of build the industry with it.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with, do you feel that your board of directors are good listeners and are listening to what people want in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, that's our job. I mean, we have to. It's absolutely. I mean, we keep our ears to the ground. We want to hear people who agree with us, disagree with us. Don't be shy.
Got you covered. Well, brother, I appreciate you being on here today. It is good. I didn't see a lot of questions come up. We had anticipated some people would ask some questions. Maybe we got all answered. But to be honest with you, I want to say this, Matt. I was president of NCSG for 6 years, and I am really proud to see you guys, the way you're stepping up to the plate, the way you're making progressive changes. You seem like a very open group. You're very open and you're listening to your membership. And I think you're all doing a great job of what you're doing. And it seems like you really got a great team of players there in these leadership roles. Would you agree with what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody on the board wants to build and make the guild stronger.
Yeah. Okay, man. Well, Matt, I appreciate you taking your time out of a busy, hot day up in New Hampshire. It's a hot day down here in North Carolina. Probably
Yeah.
a pretty good day to get in the office where it's cool and all that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's I'm kind of nice. It's actually getting a little warm in here. It's pretty warm outside, even with the air conditioner going. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go find a different
Okay, okay, man. Well, listen, we'll see you later. And again, I appreciate your time being with us. And
All right,
we will see you on the next broadcast of the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network. Talk to you later.